The Timberwolves could have got Stephen Curry, but instead they drafted this guy. The Phoenix Suns were about to get Kawhi Leonard, but they changed their mind and took Markieff Morris. The Thunder could have had Giannis and the best big three of all time, but they messed up. Every mistake in this video changed that NBA team forever. Let's begin with number 12. Wait. If you're not subscribed, you're crazy. Make sure you hit that big red subscribe button. We're trying to hit 1.6 million today. Also hit that notification bell to join Noti Gang, so every time I upload a fire video, you're not gonna miss it. Number 12, Utah Jazz. In the 2015 draft, they had the number 12 overall pick, and they drafted Trey Lyles. Who? He was a bust and got traded. But even worse, the next pick at number 13 was Devin Booker. For years, the Utah Jazz have needed offense. Their defense is always great. Could you imagine if they had 27 points per game in Devin Booker? If they didn't make that mistake, this could have been their starting lineup. But instead, they got Trey Lyles 5 points per game. Number 11, Philadelphia 76ers. In the 2015 draft, they had the number 3 overall pick. Number 1 was Karl Anthony Towns. Number 2 was D'Angelo Russell. And who did they draft? Drum roll, please. Jahlil Okafor. One of the biggest busts ever. No big deal, right? Wrong! Because number 4 was Kristaps Porzingis. What's crazy is the 76ers already had Joel Embiid. If they made the right pick, it would have been Kristaps Porzingis and Joel Embiid as their big man duo. Who would stop that? Who? Number 10, Milwaukee Bucks. In the 2014 draft, they had the number 2 overall pick. Andrew Wiggins went number 1 overall. The 2 options were Jabari Parker and Joel Embiid. And Milwaukee went with Jabari. Oh my goodness! He got hurt, he got traded, and now he's not even on the team. Even worse, Milwaukee already had Giannis. Could you imagine Giannis and Embiid? It could have been the greatest duo in NBA history. The only reason it's not higher is because the Bucks are still a great team. They recovered. Other NBA teams on this list never recovered from their mistake. Number 9, Philadelphia 76ers. Again. In the 2010 NBA draft, they had the number 2 overall pick. I feel like the number 2 overall pick is unlucky. There are so many busts who go number 2. John Wall went number 1 to the Wizards. The 76ers could have got Evan Turner or DeMarcus Cousins. The 76ers thought, well, we already have Spencer Hawes, so we don't need another center. Who needs DeMarcus Cousins? Let's take Evan Turner. What a mistake! Evan Turner wasn't that good at all and eventually got traded. DeMarcus Cousins, I don't know, he was an MVP candidate for many years. It gets worse. Okay, Philadelphia didn't need a center, so they took the best small forward available, right? Wrong! If they really wanted a small forward, Paul George was also available. So instead of Paul George, instead of DeMarcus Cousins, with their number 2 overall pick, they took Evan Turner, who's not even on the team. Number 8, Cleveland Cavaliers. This is the only number 1 overall pick in the video, because usually it's the easiest pick to make, unless you're the Cavaliers. So Victor Oladipo is available, and he's not even like a sleeper pick. Everyone knows he's gonna be good, but the Cavaliers, they want to be edgy. So they make a bold move and take Anthony Bennett. Real cool, real edgy. Also a huge mistake. Victor Oladipo, who went number 2 overall to the Orlando Magic, is a superstar, a franchise player, made the All-Star team 2 years in a row. What about Anthony Bennett? Wait, where is Anthony Bennett? He's in the G League right now. You took a G League player number 1 overall. How? And if we want to make them feel even more bad, Giannis was also picked this draft. So if they wanted to take a risky power forward, they could have gotten Giannis Antetokounmpo. Not this guy. Number 7, Detroit Pistons. In the 2011 draft, they had the number 8 overall pick. The Pistons needed a point guard. They needed a superstar point guard. Kyrie Irving already went number 1 in this draft. But you know who they got? You know who the Pistons drafted as their superstar point guard? Brandon Knight! But you know who the other point guard available was? Who literally went the very next pick at number 9? Kemba Walker, a top 5 point guard in the league, was waiting to get drafted. It could have been Kemba and Andre Drummond, Kemba and Blake Griffin. The Pistons, a real contender, a dynasty. Instead, they took Brandon Knight. And where is he now? Exactly! Number 6, Sacramento Kings. In the 2012 NBA draft, they had the number 5 overall pick. The big debate was Anthony Davis and Thomas Robinson. Which one would go number 1 overall? The other one would most likely go number 2. Anthony Davis went number 1, and somehow Thomas Robinson fell to number 5. So the Sacramento Kings, they were planning to get Damian Lillard. That would be their new player. But they saw, wow, Thomas Robinson's available. Forget about Damian Lillard, we're drafting Thomas Robinson. What? One of the most overhyped players ever. People were saying he could be one of the greatest power forwards in NBA history. Wrong. In his 1 season with Sacramento, he averaged 4.8 points a game. So instead of getting these numbers, they got these numbers. Number 5, Sacramento Kings. Again! Man, poor Sacramento. They've made so many mistakes. In the 2011 draft, the year before the last one. So Kemba Walker was just taken at number 9. 2 great scorers are available. And somehow they managed to mess it all up. Because they drafted Jimmer Fredette. Who? Now I will say he was a legend in college. So I can't fully blame them for making the pick. But still, it was a terrible pick. If Sacramento made better picks in 2011 and 2012, they could have had Damian Lillard and Klay Thompson as an incredible duo, a dynasty in the Western Conference. But instead, their duo was Jimmer Fredette and Thomas Robinson. One of the biggest what-if scenarios in NBA history. Number 4, Utah Jazz. It's the 2013 draft. And they have the number 14 overall pick. Somewhere on the draft, an MVP is available. He's right there, waiting to get picked. One of the best players in the generation is available. And with the number 14 pick, the Utah Jazz select Shabazz Muhammad. What? Greg, it's not a big deal. They all make mistakes. Who went number 15? It was probably just some random role player, right? Wrong! It was Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of the best players in the NBA. The crazy thing is, this is the same draft they got Rudy Gobert with their next pick at number 29. If they took Giannis, they would have had Giannis and Rudy Gobert. That would have been the greatest defensive duo ever. But the guy they drafted, what did he do? Oh wait! Nothing! Because he got traded for Trey Burke immediately! Unbelievable! Number 3, Phoenix Suns. This might be my favorite one. In the 2011 NBA draft, they have the number 13 pick. The Phoenix Suns, they need a franchise player. They've been struggling for years. This is their chance. Kawhi Leonard is right there, waiting to be chosen. But instead, they take Markieff Morris. Markieff Morris. Okay, so now the number 14 pick is going to be Kawhi Leonard, right? Wrong! Number 14, the Houston Rockets. They select Marcus Morris, Markieff's brother. What? That's a double bust. They literally took both of the Morris brothers before Kawhi Leonard. The reason we're blaming the Phoenix Suns and not the Rockets is because the Rockets recovered. They got James Harden, they got Chris Paul, they're good. The Phoenix Suns have still not recovered. They could have had Kawhi Leonard leading them to championships, not Markieff Morris. Number 2, Memphis Grizzlies. In the 2010 draft, they had the number 2 overall pick. This is one of the best drafts ever. In only the top 10 picks, Blake Griffin, James Harden, Steph Curry, and DeMar DeRozan were all taken. 4 future Hall of Famers were available. James Harden was available and expected to be taken. The Memphis Grizzlies made one of the biggest mistakes in draft history. They took Hasheem Thabeet. Hasheem Thabeet! When people talk about the worst bust ever, they talk about Hasheem Thabeet. People were saying he would be the next Hakeem Olajuwon, the next Wilt Chamberlain. Do you know what his career numbers were? Prepare yourselves. 2.2 points a game, 2.7 rebounds, but he was an assist machine, averaging 0.1 assists per game. I don't know what's worse, how bad Hasheem Thabeet was, or how good all the players drafted right next to him were. And James Harden went number 3 to the OKC Thunder. And as a Thunder fan, thank you, Memphis, thank you. Number 1, wait, actually before number 1, honorable mention. In the 2003 draft, the Detroit Pistons had the number 2 pick. This is crazier than most of the ones in the video, but it wasn't in the last 10 years, that's why it's an honorable mention. So in the 2003 draft, number 1 was LeBron. Number 3 was Carmelo Anthony. Number 4 was Chris Bosh. Number 5 was Dwayne Wade. 4 future Hall of Famers in the top 5. And at number 2, the Pistons took Darko Milicic. Bro, this was so bad, I don't even know what to say. Let's just move on to number 1. The biggest mistake in the last 10 NBA drafts. The Minnesota Timberwolves. In the 2009 draft, they had the number 5 and the number 6 overall pick. They needed a point guard. Steph Curry is available. And what did the Timberwolves do? At number 5, they took Ricky Rubio. At number 6, they took Johnny Flynn. They drafted 2 point guards back to back and still didn't take Steph Curry. Because at number 7, the Golden State Warriors took Steph Curry, 2-time MVP, 3-time NBA champion, one of the greatest point guards of this generation, besides Russell Westbrook. I think these 12 were the worst, and let me know in the comments if I missed any other draft mistakes. Last video, I did my 2019 NBA mock draft. Go watch that right now. It was crazy. I'll put it somewhere on the screen for you to click because the draft is literally in 2 days. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you something.